it's Doris with All the Books, and I'm here with my autumn readathon wrap-up. This was the most successful readathon that I did in October. I did quite a few, and yeah, I came close to nailing it for autumn readathon. But what do you expect from a readathon hosted by the fabulous Mercedes? Just the best, right? Excuse me. Anyway, let's start with the two off my TBR that I did not get to. So, Anna Dressed in Blood, unfortunately, I didn't get to it. And, what, guy? Shh. Unfortunately, Anna may have missed her moment for this year. Yeah, because I'm past the scary book time of my life for now. Anyway, Daphne and Amore, I don't know what the heck with this book. I didn't make it through this one either, but I am keeping this one on the back burner for November, definitely. I think it still fits the November vibe very well. What I did read, The Hearts We Sold by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is a new release that came out in August. A young adult, paranormal, contemporary. And this one is people make deals with demons, and you might need money, you might need some sort of operation, necessary or not. You might want someone to live or die. Yeah. And you typically, the deal is you give them a limb, like a leg or an arm, maybe just a foot if it's a small need that you have. But there is this one demon that takes your heart. He takes it temporarily. It's a 2-year lease. And I really enjoyed this. What I enjoyed most was, I think, the characterizations, because I just didn't realize it, but you know, when things started happening to the characters, I really felt it. So I think that's a sign of a good book as far as the characters go. And the other thing that I thought was very interesting is the premise of, you know, trading in your heart for something that you really want or need. It's just something interesting, and the implications of not having a heart. It's something interesting to think about and talk about, especially with teenagers. So I enjoyed this a lot. Then the next one, OMG, I loved this so much. This is a 5-star. It's only 215 pages. Come on, people, you can do that. And I checked on Goodreads, and there were only about 100 reviews when I checked, but it had a 4.35 star rating at that point, which, you know, tells me that I'm not the only one that loves this book. This is set in, I guess, the mid-80s in Newfoundland. And it is a girl who has been raised by a mother that is a hermit and a hoarder. So her father left when she was in kindergarten, and he left her with a mother because he thought she'd be okay, knowing that he was leaving because he couldn't handle the situation any longer. So the girl is basically raised in social isolation. Her only, I don't even think they have television. Her only connections with society are through books and movies that her mother brings home in her hoarding binges. So the girl is very unsocialized. When she's 14, her mother says, just get out, and the girl takes it literally and leaves. She hitchhikes 2 hours away to St. John's, another city. She's raised in a rural area. And as luck would have it, she meets a really nice guy. He's an Inuit street musician, and he realizes there's something, you know, going on here, and takes her home with him. And you learn there's a reason that he's such a good guy and that he has such a connection with this girl, and you learn that eventually. It's just so beautiful. And he takes her to another home. It's kind of an apartment of misfits. So there's a girl she's an older teen who was raised by ultra conservative Catholic parents, and so she's kind of fighting out against that. There's a couple of 20-something guys who, one of them is studying to be a chef, but he's working in fast food, and the other one was actually going to med school when his parents found out he was gay and just cut him off. His boyfriend has died from the AIDS epidemic, and it's just so beautiful the way they take this girl in and care for her, and just all these storylines, and love this book so much. And then I breezed through Terry Pratchett's We Freemen on audiobook. This is so cute. It's fantasy. The girl is about 12. She finds out that she might be a witch and that her grandmother was probably a witch. I believe it's set in the Highlands of Scotland, sort of. I just get that impression from what the wee free men are wearing and the sheep herding industry and everything. Totally cute. The dialogue in here is so witty. So witty. And, you know, there's a little frog, and there's the wee free men, and then there's the girl protagonist who is just delightful. Great book. And then my nonfiction pick was The Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. I have seen, you know, some people just gush about how much they love this book, and some people I think don't like it as much. When I was reading it, I think the important thing, the connection to make, is that it's a memoir. It's a memoir of a family and culture in crisis. So while this is a social commentary on one cross-section of America, it's one man's memoir at the same time. So it's just not a blanket statement. He does say that it's my memory. This just had what I liked about what he did. This is dealing with the poverty-stricken region and culture in the Appalachian Mountains. This is the southeast, mideast, mountainous region of the U.S. What I liked about it, I read Poor White Trash, that nonfiction big book that I read at the beginning of the year that I didn't love as much. And that was like extensively researched and well laid out, but I felt like she just had an agenda and was leading you toward it with, you know, billboard signs. And what I loved about this book was that this man, number one, he lived in it, but number two, he understood that there were just a million sides to the story and that there wasn't really any real answer. I appreciated that so much. He left it open for you to just think about and mull over and come to your own conclusions, or realize that there weren't real conclusions to come to. It was just something to think about and keep on your mind and be aware. Yeah. So I really connected with this and enjoyed it tremendously. And as a side note, I think it explains a little tiny bit about a small portion of our current political scene. A little tiny bit. Yeah. And then I read Anthony Doerr's The Shell Collector. This is by the guy who won the Pulitzer for All the Light We Cannot See. And just as I suspected, his writing style is so conducive to the short story collection. He is very much immersed in nature, and it shows. His writing is so gorgeous, and just he connects with nature, and he connects his storylines with nature, and they are beautiful. The other thing that I wasn't expecting really, he's a feminist writer, and you kind of realize that about the third story in. It's very subtle, you know, but his books are so empowering for women in just this subtle way, and I really appreciated that. Mel and I were talking from Mel's Bookland Adventure about people we would or would not want to go to dinner with. And I would love to go hiking with this man. I mean, he sees things. He sees things in this world, and I just love that connection. So then we had Miss Maisie Dobbs, and this book was so twee in the most charming aspect of the word. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Totally. I am not a cozy mystery reader. I don't read much thrillers or mysteries or horror. Now and again, I want to, so probably every third month I might pick one up from some of that. And I think if you're like me and you don't read a lot of mysteries, but if you like historical fiction, this is a great mystery to pick up. I didn't know going in, but the whole center chunk of this book is basically historical fiction. It's a flashback to Maisie's childhood and early adult years. So it flashes back to 1910 to 1917, and just really, I enjoyed it completely reading about her young life. And then the rest of the book where the mystery is told is in 1929, I believe. So what you get a lot of, I mean, there is indeed a cozy mystery, and it is cozy. I understand what a cozy mystery is now thanks to Maisie Dobbs. But the other lovely thing about this is it deals with war veterans and how difficult it is to readjust to society. It's very different from a lot of mysteries. I enjoyed it. And then finally, yes, I did read 7 books in a week for a readathon. I'm so happy. I finished this one about 9:30, and then I went through my stash and picked up this graphic novel and finished it. So this is American Born Chinese by Jean Yang, and it just was really fun. This is contemporary. I read The Boxers and the Saints, which is set in the Boxer Rebellion, a historical fiction graphic novel, which is my favorite graphic novel genre. But this was a lot of fun. This was focusing on being different and how you fit in or try to fit in or don't fit in. So the main character here was born and raised in San Francisco by Chinese parents. So he's Chinese American, and he was well adjusted there, but they ended up moving to the Midwest where it was only him and a Japanese American girl in the whole school that were Asian. And then eventually another boy comes in from actual China to go to school with them. So it's those storylines. And then there's a really fun storyline about the Monkey King, which that is one thing I loved in the Boxers and Saints graphic novel series, is his Chinese, I guess, mythology. He really does that. So he incorporates that into this book as well. And then there's a third storyline with another just American boy and his Chinese cousin that comes to visit that is very awkward and odd until the end when you realize how they're all tied together. So this was a lot of fun if you want to pick it up and read through it. So yes, I had a great reading week, and I am totally looking forward to next year, Mercedes. Haha. Great readathon. Thanks so much, and I'll be back soon. Bye. She got her tongue hanging out. Y'all are weird.
Now he's looking at himself.